And welcome to another installment of Solo Imps, a series hosted by yours truly, Mighty Vicious, and more importantly, a series where we get to deep dive creations and conversations with the truly talented artists, game devs, and musicians from the Dreamiverse. Like my guest today, formerly known as Mr.Wooshie, and back on the scene like an evolved Pokemon that benches at least 2 Mewtwo's with ease, I welcome Kermideus. Hey there, my guy. How's it going?
It's going great, man. It's going great. You know, as you said, I've just been doing a lot of lifting, just, getting swole, getting strong. Trying to come back in the game better,
Oh, yeah. I mean, I honestly, you know how much I always shower you with praise and everything. I don't know what your final form, could possibly look like, but
I'll tell you that there's going to be a lot of blushing involved.
A lot of blushing? Is there going to be flower?
I'm blushing, all kind of stuff.
Is there like flower wallpaper like a old school Japanese anime when you're going into your transformation?
You know what? Why not?
Okay, I'll take it. So, we preparing for this episode of Solo Imps, or Simps, as some people call it.
That's perfect.
Yeah, isn't it? We threw around a few topics to discuss today and possibly a few announcements, but we settled on discussing something that I've seen come about in a few conversations on Twitter and in a few Twitch chats, that topic being sharing in dreams. And are people open enough with their process for educational purposes? How do you feel, Kermideus?
I mean, I feel like, well, like many things, there's a lot of different opinions on this type of subject, I think the core difference is it's almost like people split completely in two camps. It's either I keep all my secrets for myself or I tell everybody everything. It's like very black and white with the way people have been handling it.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it a bit on your stream as far as like assets go, and we seem to agree on that. Whereas like if you make an asset, then, it's yours. Like you get to at least use it first before you before you put it out for the world to ravage. But yeah, just wanted to verify as far as this goes, we're talking more about the educational side of it as opposed to, if you create something, that something is yours. Like you get to do with it as you please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know, and like I said, I know people are very stingy with their knowledge, right? And I'm kind of the same in that, like, if I know how to do something in dreams, I kind of want to keep it to myself until I get a chance to do something with it. You know what I mean? Because, like, I think I don't know, I feel like that's usually the best way to go about it, because then you can come up with an idea, you can come up with a mechanic, whatever it might be, you get a chance to use it, and because crediting has been such a big issue, you get the proper credit for coming up with it and using it, and then once you have gotten your use out of it and, you're done with it essentially, then it makes sense to pass on the knowledge, because you're not doing anything with it. Might as well tell other people how you did it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you as far as this goes. Like, I do believe that if you have this great idea or something that you think could be a great idea, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna see where I can take this. But, and if you want the time to do that and develop that and get what you want, I'm all for that. And then, I mean, I guess I fall into the camp of, after you do that, if it's something that you see like would help other people, I would definitely, if I did anything of that sort, I would create it, or I would share it with people, I guess. I've just seen, I've seen a few people who would never say anything, like, don't take anything I'm saying now as a negative, and I may go into more information on that later, but I've seen a few people who would never say anything bad about anyone in dreams, but they do get frustrated at, like, some of the artistic tricks and processes that they feel aren't being shared. Mm-hmm. And I think the knowledge most shared in dreams without any type of, I don't think anyone holds anything back, is probably logic. Like, of course, everyone has their close to the vest Uber projects, but like logic is like the most openly shared aspect of dreams, I think, which really assists in the first time game developers. So shout out to all the logic people, being yourself and the tutorials you do, and people like Acert and Vince Cully and Tap Giles, the mini. But I tend to believe that if there is a gatekeeping that's happening, as far as the artistic side goes, I kind of feel like it's not on purpose. Like if they're gatekeeping, it's accidental.
See, in some cases, yes, but I know for a fact there's been people that are specifically just trying to withhold it for the sake of withholding it. Because the mentality is like, well, I don't want other people to do what I'm doing. I want to be special, you know? And then the problem with that is it stunts growth. And I think that's the important thing with sharing knowledge is, you can do something a certain way, but then now that somebody else knows how to do it, they might be able to do it better. And then it can kind of come full circle. And because it's like you started from scratch figuring it out, right? But then you pass it on to somebody else who has your end point as their starting point. So they're able to take it much further. And that's what helps it grow. But again, a lot of people, they don't want that because it's like, well, but then that person, they're going to make it better than mine, and mine's nobody's going to like it anymore. So it's kind of like that mentality of like, I have to be special. My creations have to be special.
Huh. I don't know. That comes across to me, and I'm no tree hugging hippie over here, but like, but for me, it's just like, I don't feel like anybody's going to do it like you did it. And I think that is what makes it special. Like, if you have let's say Robo's God rays,
right,
and which he did share with people as to how, like, one up to him for sharing how he did that. But if you have his God rays, like, it's still his. I feel like when you give an idea to someone else, or you give, like, everybody starts out with basic colors. And then it's like, if you created red and you were like, I'm going to keep red for me, so it's specific to my paintings. I feel like even if you did give that color to someone else, it would still not be the thing you created when they use it. Like,
I completely agree. I was just telling you, like, that's the mentality that I've been hearing from people, though.
Oh yeah, and I've also heard it, but I kind of feel like no one's ever gonna do it better than you at what you did.
Unless you're talking about logic.
Well, I mean, I
logic can always be improved. Art is subjective, but logic is objective, right? Like, there's a defined way that, like, something could be done better mechanically as opposed to visually.
Does that not factor in specifically to, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because, as we all know, I'm a dunce with logic. But, but like, I'll get into something about that a little bit later. But everyone, like, I've listened to conversations between, like, Tap Giles and Acert and Zodira, and they all seem to settle on the idea that there is no right way. They all seem to believe that it's just like, everybody has their way.
No, that's true. And that's method, though, but that's not outcome. But methods could be done in many ways, but the outcome at the end of the day, it's like, a lot of people are trying to find the same outcome when it comes to logic. It's like, oh, I'm trying to find the best way to calculate this. Well, you can calculate it a million different ways, but there's, like, some ways more optimal. But at the end of the day, all that matters is the end result.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And that's what becomes different. So when people get better with logic, like, they can improve because their outcome specifically can be better than yours. And I think that's where that comes from. Again, with art, that's completely subjective. You can't say that one's better than the other, like, as a fact. That's just your opinion, right?
Yeah, agreed.
But we're talking about logic, and we're talking about like something as simple as, like, a run, right? There's a right way to do a run and a wrong way to do a run in terms of the outcome. Like, if it's all slippery and, like, doesn't feel good, it's like, that is objectively not a good control, compared to the opposite, where it's like you feel responsive and you feel like you have full control. That is, again, objectively good.
Yeah, I've attempted the run cycle of my own, and I'm gonna tell you, all the wrong ways you could do it, I specialize in those. So but so yeah, I mean, back to what I was saying, like, I tend to believe that for the most part it's not on purpose, or they think they are showing people, like, but maybe people don't have the basics to understand what they're seeing. And that's how it ties back into that logic thing I was talking about. Like, even when I've gotten help for logic from people, I still can't do it. Like I still can't, like I can't watch the tutorial and do it, and I think I'm doing everything, but I'm not. I there's some little detail that's so simple that I don't know, and it's so simple that I believe they don't show you, like they don't point it out. And so there's this thing that I'm missing that they think I would already know. And that's how I feel this is, where it's like people are, when I say accidental gatekeeping, is like even when they put up videos and they're like, this shows how I did it. And it's like, but does it? Does it?
Yeah.
Really
Oh, and in
show?
those cases, absolutely. Yeah, that's not intentional. But I was saying that there is, in fact, people that are intentionally withholding their information because they don't want other people to do what they can do. And that I think that's kind of the issue. And but there's obviously the other side of it. It's like you can't try to force somebody to like share their knowledge. That's not fair either. Because they worked hard on it. If they want to keep it themselves, you can't really argue against that. Again, they figured out they worked hard. That's fine. But I think that's what I was saying. I think the best solution is, once you've gotten your use out of it, let people know how you did it. Tell them afterwards. Because also, not only that, it makes people more excited because now that they've seen it work, they've seen whatever it is. Like for example, with Robo's God Rays, right? That is more impressive because we saw it first before he told us how to do it.
Yeah.
So it built interest. It's like, oh shit, how did he do that? And I want to know how to do that. And then he tells you how to do it, and it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel that way because it's like, I know there's some people who are probably going to listen to this, and I seem to have a following now of people who believe that I'm just Captain Negative. Then they're gonna be like, oh, here he goes with his negative takes on dreams. But like, to clarify, I don't see this as a negative. Even if people are like, as you say, you say people that are just like, no, I'm gonna hold this to the chest. But I think the conversation itself is like, it helps with the growing pains of dreams. And so the sentiment can only strengthen dreams. I believe that it's also why I believe we're already seeing a reaction to this topic, as you're seeing a lot more top creators beginning to stream more, create, more content for their YouTube and being a lot more instructive. I mean, just to point out Martin Nevelong, who would just drop on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever, and people would be like, oh my God, like, just blowing people's minds. But even now, he goes through and does like straight up 3-hour long streams on YouTube, and you get to see every piece of what he's doing. So I believe that is a direct result from conversations like these.
Yeah.
And I think it can only lead to a better platform for dreams, because maybe we'll talk about this on our next episode, because I know you're going to be back. I know you're going to be back to talk about more stuff. But I think what we'll talk about next time is probably the idea of when everybody's hoping that dreams blows up. It might have been late, but always on time. A huge rush of people are going to come into dreams and play and create and do all this thing. But I have this alternate view, of course, where I see I'm like, I have this alternate view where I feel like as we've gone on, we've seen people kind of go into the, get to the point where dreams is quote unquote too hard for certain people. Like there's too much of a hump. So
Yeah.
I think next time we'll talk about that. Talk about the hump of dreams. It's for people who, who are coming in late, seeing all this great stuff that people have created and having to start kind of with a pantheon of creators above you that you're looking up to. Does that interest you at all?
Oh, absolutely.
No. Oh, absolutely. I didn't think it was going to be absolutely. But but anything else you want to end off on before we leave the beautiful people of the Dreamiverse for today?
I think that, if there's anything to take away from all this, I think that, it's best if you can share your knowledge, but you should never feel obligated to do so. But if we want this community to grow, if we want other creators to get better, and if we want to play better games, it is important that we share our knowledge.
I have to agree. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this featurette for Solo Imps. We'll be doing a lot more of these coming up. And once again, thank you, Kermideus, for joining us and sharing your wisdom as one of the Dreams gods with us, with us peasants.
No. I don't know about all that, but thank you for having me.
All right, man. Well, thank you, everybody. See you on the next installment.